Hello, I'm Leticia. I'm the designer behind Corinne's Little Shop, and I thought I'd put this little video together today to show you how I finish my hoop. I won't be able to show you what's on the front of the hoop because that's a secret project, but you will for sure see it at some point during this year. So I will just show you the back, how I finish it, and just ignore the mess behind me. That's what my studio usually look like. I'm a messy one. So I'm gonna get started, swap the cameras, and show you how I finish the back of my hoops. So as I said, I won't be showing you the front because it's secret still. But this is the back of my hoop. I've just trimmed around the fabric and I use the inside of the hoop to trace directly on the felt. I tend to use felt pens for this, so something like this works very well to trace around. I then cut it, and what I'm going to do first is preparing the back. So I've threaded a double length of in this case I'm using Madeira Cotona because that's a 30 weight, so it's quite thick, and to be honest it's the color I had on the table and it works quite well. Color doesn't matter because it will be covered. So if I usually like to start at the top, and as you can see, this is one of the projects I've got ongoing at the moment, which are hand stained hoops to match the color of the project. I've been looking for a way to do this for a while and I finally cracked it. So watch this space, it will be on the website soon. So I just, hoping you can see this, just do a rather large running stitch all the way around. So I don't tie a knot because I will actually use to pull on the thread and gather the fabric together. So just a rather large running stitch all the way along, and as you're stitching it will start pulling the fabric together. You might hear the fan in the background. It's actually really hot right now and I don't like the heat at all, so ignore the buzzing fan in the background. I just didn't feel like switching it off, I'm sorry. It's actually one of my first videos, so please be nice, and any comment would be appreciated. Obviously I'm hoping to do a few more, as well as some blog posts etc. on various technique and the way I do things. It's not necessarily the only way, but that's the way I like to do things, and it's worked well for me. So as you can see, it is pulling it together, so I'm gonna do this quickly. Nearly there. One of the next video I've got planned is about how to mount your embroidery on foam core board as well, ready for framing, but not quite yet. I'll probably using my new kit, the Owl, in order to do that, because that's ready to be mounted. It's still on the frame. Right, so I've reached the other side of it. Just gonna put my needle away, and now I am just pulling this together and knotting it, and I do then a double knot on top to make sure it stays put. Right, I then cut this off. Let me put a little bit of felt underneath so the embroidery doesn't get damaged. Now that it's all nice and pulled in, I take my circle of felt. I tend to, I don't know if you can see that with the reflection, but I get those labels printed, you know, they're the same as the school labels, and that means that got my name on them. And I just maybe like this, yeah, like this. So I then just catch them on each corner with a couple of stitches to just attach it to the felt. Make sure it is straight and where I wanted it to be. Then I pin it. I will just put 3 pins in because I know I'm going to start from here. I mean, where you start from, it doesn't matter, it's just because that's in front of me. So it's now all pinned. And to stitch felt, I really like to use the Lana thread, whether it's the Madeira version or this one is an Orifil. I think they blend in very well with the felt, and because they're the same composition as the felt, which is wool and acrylic, I really like stitching felt with them. I tend to take a really big length of it because I don't want to have to restart a thread in the middle, because I'm gonna do blanket stitch, so it's easier if I've got a big thread. I'm taking a rather large needle because that will protect my thread. And don't forget that the Lana threads, being wool and acrylic, kind of are a little fragile. Not as much as you'd think because they go on the machine very well, but just making sure I get the knot, and then I can start. So I use my trusty leather thimble. It's a clover thimble, you can find them on the website. As you can see, mine is well worn. And I start my blanket stitch. So hoping you can see this. Let me get the camera down. There we go. Should be better. So coming up through the felt, and then I just start a blanket stitch. So I work towards myself and catching the fabric underneath and coming up through the loop. So I've got my first stitch and then going all the way around. I don't really worry about them being regular or not regular, or longer or shorter, because with the rhythm the regularity comes. So just trusting the movement, because the more I tend to worry about a stitch length or something, the more irregular they are. So, and let's be honest, your eye will correct most of it anyway. So because I use the hoop to trace my felt, actually I don't need to pull that much. It will fit nicely. I like finishing my hoop this way because it kind of protects the back, and when I go to fairs and things, I tend to pile all my hoop in one box for samples. So with the felt backing, kind of protect the embroidery that from the next hoop, and that's why I like to finish it this way. And I found it's neater to hide the back than to just, I've seen some people just cutting it right round or gluing a piece of card or whatever at the back. I just prefer the felt. And just as I said that I wanted to make sure I've got enough thread, I haven't. Blanket stitch uses an enormous amount of thread. I should have measured it. I think you count about 4 times the length of thread for the distance of the stitch you want to do. So it's actually a good way to show you how to stop blanket stitch. So my thread is through the loop, I make sure it's under tension, I grab the inside fabric, come back through the loop, and now I just go under the thread, not catching the fabric, and through the loop. I then go back in between my fabric and my felt, and I do what I call bury the thread. So I just come up a little bit away and pull, and now I can cut it flush. So starting a new thread, in order to start a new thread I go between my felt to hide that knot, and I come back just inside that previous loop. Hiding the tail, and I'll just carry on. So as you can see, I didn't really pull it tight, but that was on purpose. If you want to pull it tight, I suggest you cut the circle a little bit smaller and then pull it as you're stitching. But I don't mind the softness of it on this side. Right, I've gone all the way around. I now catch my first stitch. I started as a U rather than just the L, or the backward L. Pull it tight. Again, go underneath, catch the fabric, and come back up through the loop. Pull it, go just underneath the thread this time, and then pass it through the loop to make a knot, and then bury the thread, and it makes the finish almost invisible, and I can cut it. And that's it really, that's all there is to it.